Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to my Let's Play of Remember11, The Age of Infinity. Last time we were talking to Keiko / Hotori about things, and she was really confusing me. I didn't know who I was talking to, and I was just confused about the whole situation. So let's see if more light is shed on it. If we find out if she's somehow faking it, or if there's some other reasoning behind why there would be one consciousness saying different things, or multiple consciousnesses saying the same thing. Afterward, I presented her with two questions. It wasn't clear how much of what she said was the truth, though. The questions and answers were as follows. Number 1, is it true that you heard my name from Yuni? Answer, it's true indeed. Hotori, Inabushi, Keiko, and I had supposedly been in this facility for a while now. However, until she'd heard it from Yuni, Hotori didn't even know my name. Did that mean that the Hotori personality hadn't surfaced until yesterday? At any rate, this meant that when she said this is pretty much our first meeting, it was the truth. Number 2, then have you ever met Fuikawa Kokoro personality? Nope. Nope, she said. Her previous impression that I had the ID was solely based on what Yuni and Itsumi had told her. In actuality, she had never spoken to Fuikawa Kokoro's consciousness herself. What does this mean? Did Kokoro purposely try to avoid Hotori? The above 2 points were the source of my confusion. Of course, I couldn't take everything Hotori said to be the absolute truth. I remember the words Itsumi said yesterday, but what was she saying that I should believe? A skeptic must also doubt skepticism itself. I'm a little skeptical that my feelings of disbelief are not real. Okay, I just blew my own brain there. You just saw it, boom, right out of my brain skull. A school of thought in classical philosophy, with human cognizance being highly subjective and relative, it is very unlikely that everything one perceives is absolutely true. Therefore, all things should be viewed with doubt initially. Final judgments on anything, new information should be suspended until it has been thoroughly investigated and proven to be veracious. This is skepticism. It uses words like veracious. Can't say that it's very constructive, though. I'll still leave myself a little room for doubt. I decided to accept everything Hotori said.
質問はそれだけ？
今のところは。
そう。じゃあ次は私のお願い聞いてくれる？
お願い？
ちょっとこっち来て。
By that warning, Hotori had taken my arm. With a firm hold on me, she pulled me further into the room. Completely helpless, I stumbled as she led me. To bed? Stopping in front of me, she turned to face me.
なんだ？どうしたんだよ、突然。
いいから。
As I stood there confused, she proceeded to wrap her arms around my neck. She threw our bodies right up against each other. I was going to make a joke. I was like, that might be a little bit strange, but apparently it was very, actually, appropriately inappropriate. They did say in, I think in that file or whatever, that one of her personalities is kind of a seducer type. The situation is scaring the crap out of him. Tori wore a charming smile. Her hand began to softly stroke my hair.
お願いってなんだよ。
わからない。
I swallowed my saliva with a gulp. Or rather, I tried to swallow, but the inside of my mouth was bone dry.
別に大したことじゃないの。 簡単なことなんだ。すぐに終わること。
I don't know if she's insulting him or threatening him.
でも時間をかけようと思えばいつまででも。
Okay, it seems like it's definitely in that genre now.
明日の朝まででもね。
Her pupils shimmered what? Lasciviously. I'm not sure what that means, but I'll take Satoru's word for it. As did her voice, her hands, her lips.
何が言いたいんだ。
I squeaked out, my voice cracking. She exhaled through her nose in a little puff, gently as if to blow out a burning candle's flame. Even her breath had a coquettish air.
何も言いたくなんてない。何も言わなくても済むことがしたいの。
She whispered in my ear. A sweet scent rose from her body. It was a mellow fragrance, potent enough to make me dizzy. She was destroying my reason with a simple aroma. It didn't feel like I contained the impulses rising up from my nether regions any longer. You see, would be a really bad situation because there are like only 4 of them there. I mean, that could make things very, very awkward. You know, on top of the eventual, murdering of somebody there and the general distrust, and yeah, it can make things a lot awkward. I think it'd be a good idea not to. I'm actually rather curious. Well, these are supposed to be, PG-13-ish games. I really don't want to have to go through and edit out anything. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't actually proceed, or if it were to proceed, it would be off camera or something of that sort. But it would be a good idea, story-wise, to say no. So yeah. I mean, I'm going to go back through and try to get all the endings anyway, so we'll find out eventually what happens if you go, sure, why not?
ふざけるのもいい加減にしろ。
I thrust her away and stood up straight.
何考えてんだか知らないが、からかうのはやめろ。すべての男が本能だけで生きてると思ったら大間違いだぞ。少なくとも俺はそんなやつじゃない。遊びで誰とでも寝るようなやつじゃないんだ。
On the bed, like face up after I'd snapped it. Another thing that would be a little bit awkward in that situation, would be while they were, in the act, the personality exchange happened, and Kokoro was like, "Okay, I'm back in Spear. What is going on? Oh my gosh! What is Satoru up to? Wait, I know that. I don't want to know that. That would be incredibly awkward." She suddenly laughed out loud. Oh, great. Or at least she's saying. I bet she's going to say that she was playing with Satoru now. She arrived with laughter on the bed. I was absolutely dumbstruck. Although this seems like a whole nother.
全ての男が本能だけで生きてると思ったら大間違いだぞ。アホすぎる。なーに真に受けちゃってんだかね。本当にもう。ラマーズ法。
Left her roll around on bed and returned to my room. Whatever. That was definitely more childlike. Which would be another really creepy thing to think about in a situation like that. Rather not. But yeah, it's definitely, yeah, those weren't like as disjointed as you would think they would be. The whole thing there. You know, from somebody who has a completely different, you know, if each person has a whole another set of memories and personality, you would think the conversation would be a lot more disjointed. Like, oh, okay, what are we talking about again? They don't really want an instance like that. It's just a change in personality, not the actual change in the data in the head. I guess you could say the data inside the head remained the same, but the lens the data poured out changed. If that makes any sense at all, which it probably doesn't. So sorry for confusing people. Yeah, that whole situation is really interesting. Perhaps she'd purposely treated me with scorn, but for some reason I wasn't angry at all. Rather, I felt really sorry for her. It's clear that she's mentally ill. First glance, she appeared to be just an ordinary selfish girl, but it wasn't as simple as that. Another thing I was thinking, the voice actress for Keiko, Hotori, was thinking she didn't get to do very much in Kokoro's route. Now she's getting to play like 50 different parts, so this is actually her route to shine, I guess you could say. So good for her on that, I guess. So watch her make fun of others, only to fall down laughing at the hilarity of it. I could see through her facade and to the deep-rooted sickness at head. Suzukage Hotori. Would I be able to save her? Couldn't stop thinking that. However, I couldn't go on thinking about her forever. There were still things I had to do. I'd already decided where I was going next. I guess we're going to see Yuni now. In order to clear my head, I took a deep breath and stood in front of the door. When I knocked, I heard Yuni's voice from within. I opened the door and entered the room. Both Yuni and Itsumi were there. They were sitting side by side on the bed. They both turned to look at me. Itsumi slowly got to her feet. And just like that, she slipped past me and out of the room. Casually approached Yuni and sat down in Itsumi's place. Oh, that kind of scared me. Just not a conversation to kill someone. I mean, time. That's what I almost expected. He sounded like he was evading my question. However, it probably wasn't anything worth dragging out of him. It's kind of an awkward thing, like, she didn't go like, oh, hey, Satoru. Yeah, I'll catch you later, Yuni. She's just like, later, Yuni, and bye. I brushed the thought aside without letting it get to me. Is in Yuni? He asked with a meek little tilt to his head. Again, fed up, I answered him. Do Yuni here, like Itsumi and the people at the shelter cabin, was completely convinced that I had the ID? Seemed like the obvious conclusion. Who would imagine that, in reality, that I was stuck in a cycle of not only personality changes, but time jumps too? Even now, I still felt completely irrational. My shoulders slumped in utter resignation. Yuni giggled quietly. It was a charming smile of an innocent child. The sight of it made my own facial muscles relax as well. I stretched both arms behind my head and put my feet up.
去年の今頃は何をしてた？
どうしてそんなこと聞くの？
まあなんというか暇つぶしだよ、暇つぶし。俺もすることがないからさ。
Emma answered, and he crossed his arms and looked at the ceiling. Nibbled lightly on his lip. He started to blink repeatedly. And the words that finally fell from his lips
ロッ
were,
クしてた。
okay, that's not the answer that I was thinking of. I'm guessing he's not talking about rock and roll, because that would be strange.
は？
ロックンロールだよ、ロックンロール。
Oh, he was, apparently. He's in a band, apparently. That surprises me quite a lot. Okay. Well, we know what rock and roll is. I'm pretty sure. A genre of popular music which came into fashion in the 1950s in America and soon after the rest of the world. Based on black musicians' rhythm and blues with additional influences from Caucasian country music, also known as rock. Okay.
僕ね、カポエラの道場に通ってるんだけど、そこのお師匠さんにこう言われたんだ。
Let's still find out what capo whatever he said is. Capoeira, okay. An Afro-Brazilian martial art. Moving to the rhythm of drum-centric live music, two people move as one in an intricately choreographed dance. Created by black slaves that had roots in ancient African techniques, historically leaders of the art disguised it as a form of folk dance so that it could be practiced openly. It's actually pretty clever. Oh my gosh, they're dancing me to death! Ugh. It's actually pretty clever. It's pretty hard imagining Yuni being a kind of a karate fighter guy. Well, that's something I didn't know about. Pretty
石田
interesting.
君はもう少しリズム感を養った方がいいよって。だからロックンロールを始めることにしたの。すごいんだよ、ロックって。革パンとかピチピチでさ。
待て、意味がわからないんだが。
意味？
What is this rock and roll you're talking
ロック
of?
に求めちゃダメだよ。ピースな愛のバイブスをポジティブな感じで受け止めなくちゃ。
I was speechless for a moment. The vibes of peace and love were rocking my brain.
なるほど、わかった。ユニは去年の今頃ロックンロールをしていたと。これで間違いはないな。うん。場所はどこだ？
自分の部屋だよ。
Yuni replied immediately. What type of answer is he giving right here? Is he thinking exactly at the same time, at that exact time, the year before, on the same date and stuff?
自分の部屋？赤倉だけではなく。
赤倉だけ？何それ？キノコ？僕ね、キノコが大好物なんだ。
Not the slightest hint of a shadow had crossed that smiling face. He didn't seem to be lying. What did this mean? He must have been in the shelter cabin on Mount Takakura around now in 2011. However, the incomprehensible answer. Did the shock of the accident cause him to go a little funny in the head? Well, look where he's at. But still, are the Yuni of Mount Takakura and the Yuni here really different people? I stared fixedly at Yuni's face. His shape, features, eye color, from his hairstyle to the design of his glasses, everything about him was the same as a Yuni from the shelter cabin. But you need to ask the Yuni at the shelter cabin where he was at a year ago. So I've really got, like I've said, I've really got the feeling that this is actually the earlier point at Spia. Yes, there is an earlier point.
僕の顔、なんかついてる？
Yuni asked, unnerved. I gazed deep into his eyes.
つかぬことを聞くけど、 ユニは双子じゃないよな。
違うよ。
じゃあ兄弟は？
いない。僕一人っ子だから。
And the Yuni at the shelter cabin had did he say something like, "You've asked me that before" to Kokoro?
そうか。
ねえサトル、本当にどうしちゃったの？なんでそんなこと聞くの？
Okay, we have pushed Uni before, and the results were not good.
だから暇つぶしだって言っただろ。
本当にそれだけ？
なあ。
Uni tilted his head, unconvinced. And it felt like there was something about Uni's answer that didn't make sense either. The Uni there, the Uni here? If they weren't twins, then what were they? No matter how I looked at it, I couldn't think of them as anything other than the same person. Besides, doesn't the fact that both of them have the name Kasuda Uni decide everything? Now this come to this, I have no other choice. I've got to ask him directly. I resolved myself and then fired off my next question.
ユニ、最後に一つだけ聞かせてくれ。
We only get one of these, huh? Well, we'll ask them this in the next episode. I feel like this might be one of those that be a possible lose situation. Somehow. Even though it's just a question, feels like it's very important. Although to be honest, the one I just had might have been important. Might have been quite an important one too. This game is really tough to judge that sometimes. But do sincerely hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one. Farewell there.